Back at it. Chase Kick with Divorce to Dominance page here. The goal is just to help any and all men going through a divorce hopefully not have to deal with the hurdles I have. So today, something that came up for me was that actually, was the inspiration for this subject is well, it's in the early days, and honestly throughout time it's really this is a really good practice to get into, but it's really going towards getting outside thyself. You may have heard that in different spaces. A lot of times it comes in on a religious aspect. I know that. So, I'm not coming from any of these certain angles. All I am coming from, though, is as a divorced man, this is something that helped me a lot in the early days. And holy crap, I have gotten away from it. A little embarrassed to say, just because I fell into the trap of life and, feeling like I'm too busy, which sometimes, I am, you are. But other times, it's just something that you say. It seems like everybody says that. So you kind of got to be careful to not just fall into the rut of the blanket. Oh, we're just so busy right now. Really? Are you? Are you actually that busy? And if you are, you take inventory. Like when you say you're busy, is it because you absolutely have to do certain things? Or is it because you feel like you have to do certain things? Or is it because you have overcommitted yourself to certain things? There's all that. So where I'm going with this, I've kind of already trailed off. Geez, we're just starting. But is going to like volunteering or pretty much volunteering, I guess, is actually what it is in its core. So yeah, just if you can step outside of yourself, one of the best feelings in the world is to give back and expect nothing in return. It's like a cheat code. And especially in this arena, when you're struggling to get your thoughts right and you're struggling to get kind of find yourself again, I'll tell you something that I was not prepared for was how good I felt, and this is going to sound selfish, how good I felt personally by giving back, by volunteering my time, because in the early days of divorce, I really didn't have much else to give. I could obviously give donations in a monetary standpoint, but at the same time, that's like just going in, $1 going into a bucket here and there. It's not like any sort of real big donation. Plus, two, it's just kind of a thing that happens and you walk away. But like the act of being there physically and volunteering for something, it's huge. The way it changes your chemistry and how you feel about things, and honestly, specifically towards divorce, like the perception that you get, like the actual adjustment of, instead of feeling like, like the natural rhetoric that's going on in your head, or maybe even the outside world, is that you feel like you've got it worse than anybody else. Like you start to believe that, how could anybody have it any worse than me? This is the worst thing ever in the history of the world. My life is over, blah, 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 blah. You're downward spiraling. Your negative self-talk is just beating down on itself, and it's layering on itself, which then is building that habit daily of you feeling not worth the effort, not worth the energy. Whereas if you just stop and decide, and this has to be a very conscious decision. This isn't something that you just happen upon. It's not like you just wake up and say, I'm going to go volunteer. It's not at all. Like, I don't know actually anybody. I don't know anybody personally that got divorced and they just happen to think of this. They feel so overwhelmed. They feel like they don't have time, like all this stuff. And they feel like they don't want to do that. Like everything about going to volunteer in your local area it feels like it's going against how you're feeling, like because you don't want to be around people, you don't want to do any of this stuff, and you feel like you're in such a low place, like a low vibration, that you don't want to put that on anybody else. But it's weird because the exact opposite happens. Kind of going back to where I started here, is it brings a different perspective, because as you're starting to beat yourself down and think that you're in this horrible, horrible space, you get such a real perspective of holy shit, it's much worse than I have it out there. Like people have it insanely amounts worse, like daily worse, like don't have food worse. Like I'm not struggling to, as dumb as it, again, like even going back to the initial days where I didn't have the house, I was sleeping with my mom's or sleeping at my mom's house and, sleeping in my truck randomly. At the end of the day, let's be real, I still had options at that point. Like I had a family member that had a house. I had a vehicle. I had a job. Like I had a job. So it's not like I couldn't go out and get a house. It was just the process of the divorce had to take place. That the house that we lived in had to be sold because it was a very nice, large property and just took up a ton of debt and credit. And I couldn't do many things in that moment without making a hasty decision, which meant maybe not making a smart one. So I would again stay at my mom's house or sleep in my truck. But like these people didn't even have that. Like they didn't even have that at all. Like you're talking about people that have nowhere to sleep, have nowhere to, stay, no family to hang out with, or none of that, and they struggle to function in society, and I feel like it's worth saying this right now in this early part of this video. Like I get that I mean, literally right now I could drive down the main road in our town here, our city, and I bet and I'm not even joking when I say I bet there's 50, now hiring signs out. And some of them are literally come in right now for an interview. So I'm not here to debate that there aren't options for these people to go do a thing, but that's beside the point. So I want to get that out of the way right now. I don't want to hear the people talk about how, they're just doing it to themselves and all that. You know what? They might be. I don't know. But that's not what the point of this video is. So getting back to where I was, now that I've said that, is when you go volunteer, and again, volunteering, it's like, there's so many different options. First thing I thought of when I heard volunteer was, the soup kitchen, like I'd seen it in movies. I'm almost embarrassed to say, when I was in my lowest point here in this divorce, when I thought about volunteering, I was like, I don't even think we even have a soup kitchen. Or if we do, I don't even know what it is. Like, I didn't even know what the hell was going on in this town. Now, small backstory, because it's important right here, is that I also thought volunteering and charity I thought volunteering and charity could only come from a place of abundance. And this is worth defining. Like, this happens a lot within this space and within my life, defining what these terms mean. Because once you get the clarity, that's something that helps you. It helps you understand what it truly means, and you can start to realize that did society put a meaning on this, or am I actually functioning within its actual meaning of a word within my life? So, having said that, I thought that volunteering and charity could only come from a place of abundance. I didn't realize that my definition of abundance was very skewed. It was My definition of abundance was, oh, you're wealthy at that point. You're rich, however you want to say that. Like you're well off. Like you're hurting for nothing. That was my thought. Like I've got the house I want, I've got the car I want, the kids, my family wants for nothing. They get whatever they want. And then after all of that, there is still some left over. And from that little bit that's left over, because I'm, I'm American, I'm a consumer, I want to take a very small, minor percentage of that and then give charity or volunteering. And that can be monetary, so money, funds, or it can be time. And that's how I looked at it, which I know now is wrong. I 100% know is wrong. Technically, For me now, I understand that abundance isn't the actual definition of abundance for me now is not the sense of I'm so wealthy and I have all these material things that I can't even spend my money on anything that I want anymore, so I need to give it out to other people. And it's not a banking thing either where, oh, you've got all this money coming in, so you need to give it out so that way it taxes and all that shit. Like it's a fulfillment thing. It's like, oh, I was over consuming, trying to pile these things into my life to make, well, to hopefully what I thought was make me feel better and be seen a certain way to the outside world, which was nothing like shit. I mean, we all know where it led me. If you've watched these videos, you know where it led me. It led me to right here, to this moment. A divorced man in his garage in the middle of Indiana. It's 24 degrees outside in a non-heated garage, working out, making videos to hopefully help you. That's where it led me. So now I understand that abundance is when you're free, you're mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually free within your own life. Like I can pay my bills. Like I used to have the cars and the trucks and everything, and what a fucking waste. I didn't have the financial abundance to be able to have all those things plus an extravagant amount more. I now live within my means, which for me is very well, I think personally, which is something I had to define, which everyone needs to define that, but so I can give that time out. So anyways, getting right back on track. So at that time, I didn't even think of volunteering at all. So I kept thinking, well, I'm not. That's for people of abundance. I don't even know what the hell to do. I don't even know where the hell I could volunteer. Until somebody told me, hey, you should really try to just go volunteer, man. Get separated from your mind, get outside of your current perceived reality, and get connected to the world. Get connected to your community and give back. Like, listen, man, you got a body and you're able. Give back. And man, holy shit. I thought, yeah, again, it was something I hadn't even thought of because it was something I didn't think was even possible because of my perceived definition of abundance for volunteering. And boy, it was huge. It was absolutely massive. So that was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest cheat codes I give out to people. So from there, what I did was I went to because of some of the history that I have with my family and some other things. I went to our local mental health association and volunteered there. A lot of that, man, I had no clue what I was getting into. I didn't know what that would even look like, what that would even mean. What am I going to be dealing with? You know, it wasn't. I mean, geez, literally, I just hung out, which is super cool. You know, there was no expectations. It was just kind of be there, be present, be a person to connect with these less fortunate humans in this time of need. It was incredible. I mean, the connections I made in there were so profound, to be honest. And it wasn't even. It's not like we're hanging out today, obviously. Like I don't like. I'm not going to these people's houses or anything else. And some of them, you know, have a lifelong struggle that I don't even know if they've even messed with or been able to, you know, conquer it even yet. But and you know, some of them were medical issues, some of them were trauma, some of them were, you know, things they couldn't help. Some of them were just full on mental disorders. Some of them, or I hate to say this, but they were just society had beat them down enough and they had labeled their issues with a definition that didn't help them, you know, move forward. I can see that clearly now. At the time, I didn't even understand because it seemed like a very able-bodied human that couldn't get their shit together. And I see now that's what it was. And that's not as easy as flipping a switch, man. It's a daily activity that you got to practice all the time. But having said that, that's what it was. It was just, and we literally play cards, we play board games, we talk. If the staff needed help with something, you know, I would just help. I was there. I was there for people. in all kinds of different aspects. And it was massive. And from there, and you're like, what I'm saying is too, this wasn't like, 4 hours a day I went there. You're talking, I started with like 1 hour a week at most. I didn't even know what was going on. I was super nervous. And, they don't take just anybody and everybody all day, every day. I mean, they take a lot of people because they want help. All these organizations want it. But, as I slowly started to be able to do more, I did. Like, I kind of showed up a little more than I had before. So it was a couple hours a week, maybe, just off and on. And it was not super consistent, I'll be honest. I mean, they would have, when things got good, I could have went there as much as they would have taken me every hour of every single day. Of course, I had to live. I take inventory of, making sure it's helping me and not hurting me as far as what I needed to get done within my life. But the amount of fulfillment that I would feel from those days of doing that they're indescribable. And what started to happen was I was able to take that perception and move it into other areas of my life and start to realize that, since I was able to separate from my perceived reality of the time, of that moment or of that time in my life, and just feel very fulfilled, it snapped me back into, even when I was married and when things were going good and I was, quote unquote, volunteering from abundance for other things. So we would do a holiday thing where we would donate our time and our funds to help less fortunate children in the community have Christmas. Their parents would come. There'd just be table after table after table after table of just gifts, Christmas gifts for kids of all ages, and these people would fill out forms. Long story short, they came, they got the gifts for free. We wrapped them. We all bought them. We wrapped them. We held the event. We all donated time and money to hold the event in a certain place too. And then they were able to take those home and put them under the Christmas tree. Those kids had Christmas. Those Christmas presents were labeled either from parents, from Santa, who knows? But those kids were able to have Christmas. So, but I only did that. I'm sorry. I did it because I wanted to and I knew it was right, but I never thought of that before. Again, I relabeled abundance. So as I was starting to do that, I started to realize that, I didn't do that just because I had the funds at that time in my life. It was because it made me feel good and I just didn't realize that. As weird as this is about to sound, charity and volunteering, if perceived the right way, is some of the most selfish things you can do in the absolute best way possible. If you can connect with it that way, which some dudes, you have to be very clear on this. Because when you say it, people get super triggered and they just get all fucking weird, to be honest, because people have to have their shit and they got to be right, blah, 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 whatever. It's a whole other subject. Anyways, they get in these weird states, but in reality, if you can get that, like if you want to be able to produce that feeling within yourself and knowing that charity does that, you talk about feeling like, hell yeah, like I'm gonna go do that because you know what? Not only am I gonna feel fucking great, but it's gonna help the world too and help my community. It's just such a win-win, which is the best case scenario. The best case scenario. Like if you have to sacrifice a ton of shit to get something done and it's for the greater good, but you gave up and you gave a ton of time and you lost a lot of energy and it didn't serve you in whatever way you feel it should have, you're not going to want to do it again. You won't put the energy into it that you should. You won't have the excitement that it deserves to be a thing that you want to keep doing. So this is just it. This is it. So when I connected with that again, like quick reminder, I did this before, but I wasn't connecting with it in that way. I wasn't connecting with it in a, again, super triggering, like a selfish kind of way. I did it because I felt like I needed to, because people said, hey, you should do this. And I was kind of seen, like we were seen as a family, as people that did that. Now, I didn't like hang my hat on that. I didn't outwardly say this is probably the most I've ever talked about, to be honest. But that wasn't like my claim to fame, but it did make me feel good because the same people saw us every year. The families that came, some of them will repeat, and they would thank us, and they had great things to say. And when we'd see them in the community just out and about, they'd wave, and we didn't need to say anything. It was just a wave, and it felt good. But I wasn't able to make that connection. So it wasn't until going through my divorce and feeling like what was the lowest point in my life and how nobody else had it worse. It took somebody outwardly in my life saying, hey, you got to try volunteering. And it took me fighting that urge to not do it because I didn't think I was in the right headspace. I didn't think I was coming from abundance. It took me going against everything that I thought I knew and just doing it, shutting the fuck up and doing that and realizing that, hey, just go do it, man. You're in a shitty spot. You're a grown ass man weeping in the fucking corner of your bedroom, in your vehicle, whatever it is. That shit's embarrassing as hell. If you're ever going to move forward, you got to stop that. Like, don't be wrong, it happens and there's nothing you should feel bad about, but let's just be real. Inside yourself, you feel embarrassed by that. And I didn't want to feel that way anymore. So I was like, all right, you know what? And so in lieu of having a pity party for myself and, getting all down in my head, I'll just go volunteer. You know what? Screw it. Worst thing that happens is I help people. That was what finally got me to do it. And I went and did it, and man, it was amazing. It was awesome. Now, I met a lot of people. I met a lot of really good people that were, doing really well for themselves. Because I think a lot of people have that definition of volunteering. But also, I met a bunch of enlightened people that were steps ahead of me that were not in a good place. But they knew that they should do this. They knew that they should give back when they can because they had the connection the right way. They knew it was a win-win. They knew everybody won. Everybody is a winner in that scenario. And I learned that. And through that, like meeting some of those people, I made great connections. Some were just friends. Some I've done random things for them since then online for some of the business stuff I do. A couple of them have actually become clients. They've gone through divorce and I've helped them through some things. A couple of them became clients in the fitness space because they saw that I took care of myself and they asked me some questions. Before you know it, I'm training them online. So like everything about it, it's just like, I can't think of any negatives. I really can't. I mean, the time that was given to that was such a small trade-off. The fee for that, knowing what I know now, I would have given 10 times more. And it was just amazing. So if you find yourself feeling this way, and like in the early days, or even the later days, because that's where I'm going with this, go volunteer, go give back. It helps out so much. Now, it is a very powerful cheat code, but listen, it doesn't mean you have to treat it like a job, because it should not be treated like a job. The more you do it, the more you do feel better. You really do. But you have to be very aware of your state of mind. You have to make sure that you're connecting to it for the right reasons. You're staying grounded in why you're doing this, what the actual impact is you're having. Because if it starts to become self-serving in a negative light, where, again, going back to how I was, there was a small chunk of me that felt like I kind of had to do it because it was expected, or because I wanted people outside of me to see me or know that I'm doing that. So it's really, really important to stay connected to what the point of this is and to understand that while, yes, the goal of this is to not only help the community, but it is also to help yourself. make sure that it's still helping you feel good about yourself as an individual to yourself, not as an individual to the outside world and what they, uh, you know, title you as or see you as, or the story that you're concerned that they are writing about you. Not important at all. It's a story about yourself that you're writing about yourself. That's the important part. So, what ultimately happened though is I got busy. My life started coming back together. Things started working out. And I fell off the volunteer train as far as my community when it comes to, what might be labeled as the less fortunate, like the soup kitchens, the mental health, the Christmas gift wrapping and buying some gifts for people, things like that. But what I want to be clear here is I didn't realize how much volunteering I was still doing. I would, when my kid was young, I coached all the sports. As a matter of fact, I still do. And I'll say this, that the first day that we showed up at T-ball, and they asked, "Hey, does anybody want to coach? Does anyone want to help coach?" Blah blah blah. We had the standard thing. All the dads standing there, looking at each other, and all the women are looking at all the dads. Totally fine, super normal. I guarantee you've been in that moment if you have kids in sports or any event for that matter. And in that moment, all I could think about was I just want to watch my kid play baseball. I teach them at home. I don't want to come out here and teach everybody else's. Well, spoiler alert, I ended up coaching. But I saw that, man, I loved every minute of that, but that's only comes from my perspective now, because there were so many times I fell into the trap of people saying, like, how do you do this? Like, you're so busy all the time. Like, there's no way I could do this. And in one hand, there was a part of me that like kind of puffed my chest out and still, yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but it's important. But I let their kind of them of leading into it's so hard. It's so much time. And I wore that as a, like, yeah, look at me. Yeah, it is hard. And look what I am doing. And that's where I say stay connected to what's actually happening here. I started to look at it as I love that people were seeing that I was doing it and not that I was able to help a community of kids and parents grow in this arena, which was sports, which is baseball specifically. I kind of lost that connection. So over the years, as I kept coaching, I would either be the head coach or assistant coach, off and on, depending on what team we were part of. And again, I just let that rhetoric, I let the head coach complaining about the time, like how much time commitment it is, and some of the parents complaining about whether their kid's playing or not, all the typical stuff, all of it. Now I let it kind of just consume me, when in reality, I should have stayed connected to the fact that, man, this is volunteering. Like when I do get the parent comment that doesn't talk about the time commitment, doesn't talk about any of that, and just literally says, I'm so thankful for you doing this. My soul would come to life. And the only thing that was close to that in that same, in that same arena, was when a kid would hit the ball for the first time or catch the ball for the first time. And you just get so excited for him because he's so excited and you're feeding off each other. Like that energy is the only thing that was comparable in that space. And that's what I lost track of at that time. But the reason for this video today is because I got separated from what I was labeling as volunteering. So not only did I have a problem with the title of abundance and its definition, and once I got clear on that, I really had never gotten clear on what volunteering was. So again, it's just a mistake that I've made that hopefully I can help you with now before you get started on this journey. Or if you're in the journey, hopefully this is the clarity that I got that you might need. So I just forgot what volunteering meant. Volunteering doesn't have to mean going to the local retirement home. It doesn't have to mean going to the local soup kitchen. It doesn't have to mean going to the local homeless shelter or the mental health association or cleaning up the trash on the streets for free. Does it have to mean that? It can mean that for you. It doesn't have to. It can be volunteering within your direct community. For me, it's my local area, out where my kids play sports, and coaching these kids to be better athletes, number one, but be better humans overall. Because I do have a perspective that can help children, very, very specifically, boys that will become men. And it's amazing. So what recently has happened to me that's really got me connected to that, because I was very close to just quitting coaching altogether these last couple of years. And it's really just because the obligation of what I felt makes me think like, oh God, I got to keep doing it because nobody else is. These people tell me I do a good job. I hate to let them down. Like that's where my thought process was. But the local high school, the head coach, in fact, that runs the whole entire program, they're very good. They put out a lot of pro players. They've won, sectional championships. They're pushing on the edge of state championships constantly. I mean, just tons and tons of athletes they pump out. They reached out to me specifically. The guy that at one time was worse off than anybody. The guy that at one time, couldn't see the light of anything, had no abundance to speak of. The guy that was feeling obligated doing a thing because he didn't have control of his own thoughts or the definitions within his own reality that created his current circumstances. The guy that at one time didn't know if tomorrow was worth it. And it just may seem silly to some people, but it's a big deal to me. Like I enjoy this stuff because I'm creating my life and I'm seeing it happening right in front of my eyes. They've asked me to now be the first in-line assistant coach to the varsity team for baseball. And it's awesome. Now here's the big point. Here's how this reconnects. It was such a huge thing. I was smiling ear to ear. And again, this may be so silly to some people, but this is like something that I connect at a core level with. I love sports. I love baseball. And I love the time with these kids on the field to be able to speak to them in a way that most of the world can't. The field itself is a sacred environment. The coach to the players' speeches are just something that you can't get anywhere else. It lives in its own bubble. And it's so powerful. It's something that you can truly, truly help people with. And they remember it for their life. I remember speeches that my coaches gave from holy crap when I was way back in grade school. It's just so powerful. And just knowing that I was thought of as enough to be one of those people, that my actions and my words and my results within their program as a feeder system have spoken enough to say that, you know what, he hasn't said he wants to do this, like he hasn't called anybody, but we see enough in him that we want to do that. We want him to be a part of this. We want to reach out to him and ask him to join us. I didn't reach out. So, I mean, it's huge. But the reason it connects me to this side is that, let's not get it twisted, guys. High school, jobs, especially as coaches, they're not lucrative. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but majority of high schools, their head coaches of their programs are like the social studies teacher or like the PE teacher or the health teacher or something like that. And that's their salary. There's a stipend for coaches and the programs, but let's be real. It's not like they're paying you an extra 50 grand in the year. It's like a few $1,000s. And the time commitment does not even come close to equaling that out. So where that comes from is, when I got asked this, when I got asked to help them coach at the varsity level, my only thought was when do I start? But what's funny is as I started to let people close to me know, hey, this is an option. Like I was telling you before, people putting their thoughts and their energy out on you. The continuous first question was, oh man, awesome, what's that pay? Fuck, I don't know, dude. I'm like I said, oh yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of time. They need to pay you for that. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it pays anything or not. I'm pretty pumped though. They go, no, that's a big achievement. Good for you. But I'd make sure I'd ask him, because if it's volunteer, that shit ain't worth it. And that opened my eyes to what we're talking about today. Volunteering is all around you. I'd fallen apart from true volunteering and what it means to me and what I get out of it personally in a good way, in a spiritual way, and who it creates the tomorrow me and how it helps today me get to the future me, which is my painted picture. Every day is a brush stroke towards that future person. Every day is. And just hearing people say that, those are the same people that, they kind of go through life the same way most do. They have no real vision for themselves. They've just gone through the monotony of life, which is every day, wake up, get dressed, go to work, eat random food that is geared towards no outcome, do arbitrary tasks that is geared towards no outcome other than the paycheck they get at the end of the week, only to spend most of it in arbitrary ways on debt, and do nothing fulfilling, only to repeat it day in, day out until Friday, where they're excited to go home and do nothing because they have no plan, and only to get ready for work and bitch about it Monday morning. So that's what it was. It was knowing that who they are, defining what their situation is, and not getting into their granular details, but understanding who they are from my point of view. But then it opened my eyes to the actual term volunteer. Because as they say, because that's a volunteer position, fuck that, it ain't worth it. Well, bitch, that's why they didn't ask you. You know what I mean? And motherfucker, that's why nobody's calling your fucking ass up to do shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, who's the last motherfucker that called you up? Nobody? Oh, well, it was my aunt and they wanted me to do some shit, but they're always asking me to do some shit. And what'd you say? Fuck that. You didn't pick up the phone? There's nothing wrong with that, but like you're not doing shit. You're the guy in the fucking rat race. You're the guy that's not fulfilled. You might be the guy with the fucking 100 times bigger bank account than I have, or maybe even 1,000 or even 1,000,000 times bigger bank account than I have. I don't know. That'd be a lot of money. But I don't know. But I guarantee you're not as fulfilled as I am. I fucking guarantee it because I was that dude. I was that fucking guy with the bank account fatter than fuck. All the cars, all the like the houses all over literally had vacation homes. The cars, the house, the full-on commercial gym at my house. 3 baseball fields on our property. A high school, a middle school, and a youth baseball field. All of them out there. So that way I could bring the teams out and practice on our fields. I didn't have to worry about that. Like that's where I was at. And my shit still ended up fucked up because I didn't have the right Like I didn't have the right frame. I wasn't working towards that guy in the future. I was just arbitrarily doing the things day in and day out that I thought should be because, well, shit, I just did them because I thought it was expected. I never took the time to dive deep into these things and get and define these spaces for me and for my outcome and work towards a future that I was proud of. I just thought, get married, have kids, make a bunch of fucking money, game over. Holy shit. That was the most unfulfilling fucking shit ever because look where I'm at. In a garage, unheated, lifting weights, happier than I've ever been. I am not struggling financially. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I've gotten connected with what I need and what I have, and I'm working my way towards bigger goals. This may not be the forever, but it probably is because I don't need anymore. It's already been defined. You know, it's just what it is. Again, going back to that whole boss voice, bitch voice that Andy Frisella talks about. Dude, that bitch ass voice works in mysterious ways. When I didn't need the super fancy cars, the classic cars, the custom built motorcycles, the custom truck, like when I didn't need all that shit and I could have had the extra money to do more to help create the life I truly would have wanted had I been looking at it that way or had somebody been telling me this shit I'm trying to help you out with. That motherfucker, yeah, get the truck, man. Get the fucking truck. That's that bitch voice. Dressed as the boss voice. Yeah, man, I'm the fucking boss. I can get that fucking truck. Yeah. Is that bitch voice. Motherfucker was telling me what to do. Do you get that? Do you see like the subtle distinction there? The bitch voice will tell you what to do. The boss voice is you telling the bitch voice, fuck off. I'm doing this. You are the boss voice. The bitch voice, it's not you. It's the thing trying to come up to handle you. You have to be the boss. If the boss ain't there, it means you aren't there. It means the bitch is there. That's it. So yeah, tying this back in because I got a little off. That bitch voice tried coming in. Well, if that's a volunteer spot, that shit ain't worth it. What the fuck you mean it ain't worth it? You mean helping kids in this local community become fucking strong ass men? Become physically strong? Like I'm gonna help them with weights, strength, conditioning. Me and the conditioning coach are gonna come together and we're gonna build superhumans. That's what's gonna happen. Like my future is dependent on them. You get that? Like I'm trying to handle my future right now. I'm trying to build a better future for them. And hopefully in turns, they build a better future for me. Like they're able to keep building on top of that. And like, man, this can go off so far. Again, going back to Andy Frisella, like watch that dude. Like he's got, I share the shit out of his shows and I hopefully people see it, but it's dude, his points are so crisp and so pure. And he's just right. Do the hard things daily. But yeah, like, how can you tell me that it's not worth it? Like these motherfuckers' kids are the ones that I'm going to be coaching. Like, then they're going to tell me it's not worth it. They're going to spend enough time to think enough of me to ask for help for things, ask for ideas, or do business with them or train them. They think enough of me to do that. But when I'm going to step over here out of my own grace, because I was asked, because I've shown my character to be worthy of this position, to be brought up to that level to help their kids specifically, mind you, for free, like I'm just doing it, and they're gonna say, well, that shit ain't worth it. The fuck are you talking about? Shit, it's worth it for you more than it is for me. In your eyes, it should be. For me, it's worth it for me. The future that I know I'm going to be able to create for these people and for everyone else, because it's just, if you can open kids' eyes up at these moments, it's so strong to help them understand they can be a great human. Like, but they've got to paint that picture. Don't let the world paint the picture for them. They need to paint their own picture. If you can get that across, oh, that feels heavy today. That shit feels heavy. Like I said, know your distance. Holy shit. If you can get that across to them in an early stage, you've won. Listen, like you've won. And you didn't win because you told them to do a thing and they did it. You've won because guess what? It makes for a better tomorrow, and tomorrow is the future. We have to build a better future because we are struggling now anyways. Anyways, getting really close back to where we're, like I said, getting outside the self, thyself, getting outside of thyself and giving back to your community in any way possible. Again, remember, it's about abundance, right? Volunteering. What does that mean to you? First, define volunteering, because that's where I fucked up. I didn't have a definition for volunteering or abundance at all. I thought you could only volunteer if you had abundance. And volunteering meant to me giving money or giving soup, which is a bunch of time, involving my time. And abundance meant I had an insane amount of money or time. So when I was going through my divorce, I didn't have a bunch of money. I had money, clearly. I just went into a regress, like huddle mindset, like you hoard, which is wrong, to be honest. And then I said, I don't have any time. I got to rebuild my life. That was just wrong. It was wrong, straight up. So once I got that right and I got it clear, boy, things really took off. Things really started to take off. They really started to make sense. What it meant to be abundant, or what my definition of abundance is. So then from there, I got clear on volunteering, which again, I think volunteering is actually the first thing you need to get clear on, because if you're not clear on what volunteering actually is, you might overlook some things. You could go mow your neighbor's yard. Go find a person that can't mow the yard, or they just haven't. Knock on their door, ask them, hey, can I mow this for you? No big deal. That's time, and it's money because it costs gas, or the gas costs money, I mean. It took time for you to go do it. So just do that. Do the thing, anything. Walk somebody's dog, shit. Then you're feeling good because you're moving, right? That's good. Just, it's so many different things. Like I said, for me, the first thing was going to the Mental Health Association, volunteering my time to just be with people and help. Be a physical presence. That was it. Over time, it evolved into helping the community in different ways in other areas, and then, ended in me realizing that I'd coached my kids' baseball teams even before I was divorced. And I didn't realize that was such a good volunteering thing, but I didn't have the right definitions. I wasn't connected to it in the way I should have been, because I let everyone else kind of place a definition on those things and kind of let my ego get in the way early on, which is never good. So yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what sparked this video, was being asked to help with the high school at a very high level, but also just volunteering. So, it's something that I can't wait for. I'm excited for. It's going to be an incredibly busy year because they showed me the schedule, and holy crap. Yeah, it's a lot. Like, honestly, it's even more than I ever thought, if I'm being totally honest. But I'm going head first, man. I'm going all in. This is something I would love to do. I really thought at one point I was going to play baseball at a very high level. I really thought at one time, I was shooting for the pros, and without turning to Uncle Rico, which, depending on your age, you understand who Uncle Rico is or not. I had the skills, I had the talent to get to certain levels. I never found out if I had the skills or talents to go to even further levels, because I never had my mind in the right place to think that was even a possibility, which is a deeper layer of why I want to help these kids in my local community. My son's part of this, obviously, but is to not let kids in a moment of weakness throw everything away, because of many reasons. Number one, they may not be developed enough to understand the opportunity that's right in front of them. A lot of times too, the coach or that figure, the teacher, whoever, may not have the best intentions either. Maybe they've got a vendetta with that person. They're letting it get personal in a sense of that kid aggravates them, but the kid has so much talent and that's why they're aggravated because they're almost triggered at the point where they're like, oh, this kid has so much talent and he's just throwing it away. So it shines a light on how their own insecurities. And so they start to take it out on that kid instead of looking at it as this is a challenge. This kid is put in front of me for a reason. I need to help him understand how to navigate life. It doesn't mean you have to tell him that he's wrong. You need to help him understand the emotions that are going on of like why he's fighting back and helping him understand like you're special, man. You have so much more to give, and I just don't want you to lose it. Having said it doesn't mean you got to do it this way, that way, or the other way. It doesn't mean you got to do it at this certain timeline. It just means that I would love for you to recognize what you actually have and what you can actually be. Because first off, everyone can be way more than they realize. Literally everyone. But some of us are meant for much more, and you don't want to miss out on those opportunities. Because sometimes, if you don't open your eyes and see them at some point in your life, those opportunities can time out. Some things, there is an age limit. Some things, there is an upper threshold as far as who you can be or how old you can be or how much time you have to do so, such thing. Ugly face. So, like for me, I can't go play pro baseball anymore. This is not in the cards. It's not a thing. 37, about to be 38. It's no one gives a shit whether I can do this, that, or the other. It's just not going to happen. And simply me saying that out loud too, that it's just not going to happen, means it's definitely not going to happen. Even if there was a chance, it means that I'm accepting that there's not. But I can play in the sphere of. I can function within that space. I can mold my life to be associated with it. Being one of the top assistant coaches in the program, in the top program of the state, yeah. That's a good first step. Actually, it's a good 50th step, if I'm being honest, because first step was volunteering for my kids' T-ball. And the hundreds of lessons in between there and all the fitness stuff I've learned, all those are steps along the way. Who knows what this will mold into? Maybe this will mold into helping local kids understand how to create strength and use their body towards any sport. I don't know. Who knows? But it's just something I know I want to do, so I'm going to do it. But again, getting those definitions are huge. You have to have the definitions early. Otherwise, it'll be decided for you. If you don't build your life, it will be built for you. If you don't decide what to do with your time, it will be decided for you. And if you don't decide how to create your career, your path in life, your career and your path in life will be decided for you. Start creating. I'm 37, about to be 38, in less than Jesus. I don't know, 12 days, 13, something like that. And I'm just now starting to really wrap my head around this in the last couple of years. Not even a couple of years, probably the last, a couple of years. Because it was up until my divorce that I got a full picture of this and a handle on it. Like once I went through the downs and sat at the lowest of lows, was I able to even start to climb. I had done this in aspects of my life before my divorce, just never as the whole picture. It was just little pieces. One more. Fuck. What an ugly fucking face. Oh. All right, guys, back onto the fitness side because I've talked way too long about this. Fitness is going to be quick. We started with calves. One more set of chest here. I'm only going to do 4 exercises today with 4 sets and get through this, pushing all the way again. Remember, 2 RIR, reps in reserve. We are pushing ourselves until we can do 1 or 2 more at absolute most. Forcing the muscle into adaptation, trying to lift more weight each time. You saw me just punk out on the squat rack. I put on a weight that I used to be able to just do so much of it. It pisses me off. I get my own head, but I picked it up and boy, it felt heavy. And I still run off some nervousness about my knees, and it's being a little bitch. But I gotta say that out loud. I gotta say I was being a bitch in that moment. Otherwise, if I make excuses, it tells my brain, okay, well, you were justified. No, I was being a little fucking bitch. I should have at least went down once or twice. It's fine. I didn't. So in front of you guys and everybody, it's me being a little bitch, and I gotta handle that. I got more to work on in many places, but that specifically, squat side. So yeah, I started with calves though. I always want to make sure, like on this type of calf raise, when I'm just doing a standing calf raise, I want to make sure I get myself down to the stretch of the calf. So I want my heel to be further down than my toes. So I need to elevate my toes. So some sort of platform. For me, I just use a wooden 2x4. That's it. Some random shit in the garage. I have a cinder block right there if you can see it on the camera. I used to do it on that, but a little too tall. And the weight got too high, the block wanted to roll. And then I got a wooden platform. That's nice too, but it's big and clunky. So the 2x4, which I would like it to be further, but it does a good job. It does a great job, actually. You know, I'm talking, this is the second week into this. So I've got 2 more weeks of doing these specific exercises within that muscle group. Then we change them again anyways. So remember, muscle adaptation, pushing the weight, and keeping that reps right now in this phase, 6 to 12-ish, 6 to 10-ish. A lot of people say, well, that's pretty low reps. I took a lot of high volume for that. You better be warm. And you're right, you better be. But you got to get through it. And the more controlled you take it, because if I was doing 6 to 12 here, but I was doing, 15 to 20 there, and I was doing 8 to, 10 there, and only 3 over here, it's like, it's just too much shit. It's too much to write down. It's too complicated, too much happening. I can just say, these exercises for 4 weeks, trying to get maximum effective volume, which is the total sets per week, at this rep range across the board. Very minimal thought. I can just keep moving with it, which is what I wanted, what I needed, and what is producing the best results. Some of you here talking about this a lot is Ryan Fisher. He talks about this a lot. And he got it from Dr. Mike Israetel. Love both those dudes. So it works. Both of them are jack studs. Both of them have a ton of information. Both of them are very successful in the fitness space. Probably could listen to them. Very succinct. Same with Mind Pump. They speak in the same way. It's amazing. It's amazing. The people that know what they're doing, if you follow what they say, you get results. Weird. Not built on fads, not built on garbage, not built on hype. Just facts and results over years of experience. Oh, shit. Last set, best Shit. Ugh. Oh God. I'm feeling that this week. That's 80 pounds. Not a shitload, but it's enough. Damn it. Make sure you're breathing to that too, or through that too. You hop up from something like that, holding your breath. That head rush can get to you. Give yourself time. Get your shit together. Just sit up. Maybe don't hop up like I did right away. And allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to get back to where you were. So here's where we're at. We are done with chest now. It's 4. What we got left? Traps. Right there. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, guys, just for a frame of reference of what's going on here, of what it is, you know, what I'm doing. Kind of keep sometimes it's nice to see, have an idea of what time of year it is, kind of keep it all into reference, everything else, which really, being Thanksgiving tomorrow, again, that's me recording the video. Obviously, by the time I get this uploaded, it's probably gonna be a week or so past, but it's another reason too, like right now is a good idea to be connected with volunteering. It's just that time of year. It's just good, man. A lot of people are less fortunate, but all right, we're gonna do traps here. Again, standing. The bar, holy shit, I'm feeling, I'm gassed. These days where, honestly, you're feeling a little lazier than normal because it's holidays and you just want to spend time with family. Spend time, by yourself, even for that matter. It's funny because when it comes to my steps for the day at this point, I'm like way lower than I normally would be. I'm not moving as much. Oh man, I'm way more tired than I normally would be. Like I'm feeling it right now. I'm gassed. Oh well. Just tired, that's all. Nothing big. No big deal. Get these sets done here. Let's go. 4 sets. This is probably a bit of a warm up first. Yeah, that'd be a warm up set first. Okay. Got going. That's another muscle group that, your traps. Something, man, you get a lot of impingements going on. You kink neck in the morning, where you can't hardly move your head if you don't warm up on your traps appropriately, especially if you're going to do high reps, or high weight, low reps. Trying to get adaptation going. You just realize that you need to do that. Anyways, it's a good warm set. So 4 sets starting right now. Yeah, I haven't done traps in a long time. I know we talked about it before, but it's worth saying again because there's going to be a body part for you. It's the same way. It's going to be. I don't care where you're starting. I don't care if you feel like you're so far out of shape that you feel gross. I don't even know how to say that, but you're going to find a body part or a muscle group that just responds to this type of stuff when it responds to workouts. And it'll grow like crazy. For me, it's the traps. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna push my traps to get them big again and get them to where they're standing up and standing tall. Because I've taken enough time off from them that they've gotten down to what most say are normal for a guy that works out, but for me, it seems less. A little bit of body dysmorphia, but as long as I'm again announcing it, I'm acknowledging that it exists. It helps me understand that it's something that needs to be worked on. It's a flaw. It's a weakness. Not in a bad way. It's just something that I can say that, hey, this is something that I need to work on and hold myself accountable, not make excuses. All right, here we go. Okay. Step up the weight. I actually better be a little more controlled with it. Don't want to go too much too quick. Traps are strong, man. They're strong muscle. They're dense. So you can overdo it pretty quick. So once again, this is me trying to keep my shit together and not overdo it. But happens. Yeah, guys, I mean, working out wise, this is it. This is one of the biggest keys too. In space, we'll talk a lot more about this on death, but it's just the consistency. Like most people, when it comes to working out, they're stuck on the short-term superficial goals, which we're going to get those. Like you're going to get those by even just starting to work out the way that I'm talking about. But most people can't consistently string together enough to get the results. Like they don't realize that a lot of times it's not even about being the strongest or the fastest or any of that. It's just the fucking guy that shows up over and over and just does it. The guy that works out day in and day out, even on the shitty days. And I don't mean shitty like you're too busy and so you're sacrificing all your sleep to go work out. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the days that you come home from work and you feel beat. Not like, hey, my muscles hurt and I have an injury beat, but I mean like just the I just want to sit on the couch and do nothing beat. Dude, you got to just kick that shit in the ass. And you got to get out there and do it. And once you just start, it's something that once you get started, like if you can tell yourself, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to walk on the treadmill for like 5 minutes, get my body warm. I'm at least going to do that. You walk 5 minutes and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well shit, I've been here 5 minutes. I'm already dressed. Like, it's one of the biggest movers. What's the one muscle group I want to get bigger? Anyways, let's say it's your shoulders. I want my shoulders to be wider so I look better. I can do some shoulder work. Let me just do one thing in shoulder work. Let me go to a machine too, not even the dumbbells. So I'm just going to go to the machine so I can sit. Do one set. Okay, cool. I can do one more. And then before you just one more leads to one more, which leads to one more. Now all of a sudden you're already there for 30, 40 minutes. Like, screw it, I might as well finish the damn workout. Just get it in. But you can't have those days if you don't show up. You know what I mean? Like if there's no consistency, those days don't even exist. Like you just start to team up. Then what starts to become consistent is the inconsistencies. When you look at your week and say, oh shit, I have more consistently decided to not work out than I did to work out or to do any sort of form of fitness. That's when you know you got a problem. That's when you know you are losing. You technically have never lost until you're just not here anymore. But you also can't win until you start. Spoiler alert, you technically never win either. It's just consistent days of small victories that lead to the big victory at the end. That's it. It's just that battle, nonstop, every day. Consistency, man. That's all I'm doing here. Consistently showing up. I'll go through phases of consistently showing up in my garage, then I'll go through phases of consistently showing up at a commercial gym of some sort. It's just what it is. I got a buddy that's recently reached out to me and wants me to start training him. He actually lives local, so we might start to do a bit of a meetup. Like I said, I train clients. Most of them are online. And then some of the more personal clients that are towards the divorce side of things, which I also train physically, but those ones are definitely online just because they come from all over. But like if it's an in-person training, like he's got a small gym just like this in the garage. That's it. But it's enough. So I might start meeting him after work. Just drive straight to his house and do that and set up a structure that makes sense for both of us and go from there. But so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, it's just he's needing the consistency because, small backstory, me and him used to work out together all the time, like all the time. before I was divorced. That son of a bitch. Well, I was strong. I was also strong and aesthetic looking. Like I had a certain look to my physique and I was going for that. That son of a bitch was just strong. Like he looked big and strong also, but like he never like had the super defined muscles. He's just thick. And holy shit, he could lift a lot of weight. So now though, if I'm being real, I ran into him not too long ago. He's a tradesman as well. And he's doing really good in a lot of areas in his life, but his physicality has dropped a lot. And by dropped, I mean he's actually technically gained a ton. And I love him to death. And I care about him too much, to be honest. You know, kind of going back to what we talked about, you know, men holding other men accountable and creating an environment for all of us to be together. You know, I'm going to call him out. Damn. I'm only putting 10s on. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt something, I think. I'm going to call him out. He's a friend from Jesus, way back in grade school. Number one, I feel comfortable enough to call him out. I'm going to be real with you. If we start to do shit together, I'm calling you out all the time. I don't care, and I expect people to call me out. So that's what it's for. That's what we're here for. It doesn't mean to beat them down and belittle them. It just means, hey, listen, you're out of character, bud. You say you're this, you act this way, but what you're doing in your own time is not. Like you're not showing that. He's got kids. And it's gonna be hard to say at first. He'll get it though, and if he doesn't, you know what, that means he's got more shit to work on. But I think it's up to me to say something to him. Because I think it'll be received, and that's the other reason it's up to me. Sometimes you may not be the person that typically does that, but if you're the person in that person's life that can get through to them, I'll be honest with you, it's up to you. It's your duty. It's your duty to help when needed. So, yeah, you may see him randomly. I don't know. Like I said, he's extremely local, and he's a buddy from a long time ago. So maybe times in the future that he may show up here and there. I don't know. He definitely could be on some of the calls if you end up being set up as a client in a one-on-one situation for divorce. Me and him got some stories from back then too. So anyways, last set here for traps. That's going to do it for today. That's going to be my 3 muscle groups, the exercises. Or I'm sorry, not the 3, the 4 muscle groups or exercises with 4 sets each. I'll do it 6 to 12-ish. I'm going to be rounding that 6 to 8 probably right now. Last set, best set. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if I would have done even a pound more, I would have felt that one. See, that's knowing it. It's knowing where you fall. Okay, let's mark it up on the counter on the chart here. Get that? It's starting to get gloomy. I can't have the garage doors open as much as I want to. 4 sets on what is a Thursday or Wednesday, I mean. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, guys. Like I said, this video won't upload right before Thanksgiving, obviously. That'll probably be a week later, but I just like to be real in the time frame that I'm doing these things and how I'm speaking. So I think sometimes it's important. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and keep killing it, guys. Again, emails down in the description. Reach out. I don't care. Put the comments on. Here for you. Hopefully you're here for someone else. All right, man. Till next time.